welcome to episode 38 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the camp counselors with me tonight?
Stefan, JD.
Stuart Hughes.
And Bill Tucker.
Our special guest.
Hey.
Welcome to bring us on board, and he came on board on a wonderful episode. I hope.
Fuck, I should have said Stuart Hughes Part 2. God damn it.
Ooh, see?
Yeah. See, I couldn't come up with anything clever.
Yeah, I was thinking about it beforehand. I was like, what can we say this week?
I had a couple of things. Like, the first thing I had was, who are the horny counselors with me? And Tiff just looked at me like, what? And then we watched the first movie. She's like, oh, that would have worked.
Yeah.
Should have started out with like Stefan JD takes Manhattan.
That would have been good.
Stuart Hughes goes to hell.
He's already there. It's called Virginia.
I'm going to space. I'm Stuart X.
Bill Tucker.
All right. Before we get too much farther, three things I want to mention. One, welcome to week 2 of our Spooktober, which I completely forgot to mention last week at any point in the beginning of the episode, of our 6-part spooky games we're doing for the month of October, even though it's coming out right before October. Or no, this comes out on, depending on where you are, October 1st.
The first one was, like the last week of September.
Yeah.
The problem with it was we were like, hey, let's do horror games for October. And then we had like 12 games that we all thought would be good. And whittle them down. We're like, it's okay if it runs over a little bit.
It changed. Well, this was originally from earlier in season 2, and I actually had switched this game around because I wanted to have a short game before we went into the craziness of Spooktober. But so that's kind of how this happened. Also, one thing I do want to mention, which I did mention in the Facebook group, but I forgot to say this last week, is we hit 5,000 downloads. Well, now we're at 5,250 as of this recording. But we hit our 5K milestone. So thank you, everyone who's been taking the time off to listen to us.
Fuck you. Thank you. Thank you.
Also, we are going to be doing, either this week or next week, there will be a special where we're going to release, thanks to us hitting 5K, which we're going to be talking about random topics. Kind of like we did with the Origin thing. God, back when we hit 1,000 months ago. So we have something planned. Either we're release it this week or next week. I haven't decided yet.
Maybe it's going to be more coherent this time, though.
Well, I won't be drinking this time because I cannot record while drinking. I drink one beer and I'm like, where am I? Who am I? I don't know how Austin does it on Trash Talk where he just gets wasted and does a podcast. I have no fucking idea.
I was my problem is I'm such a heavyweight. So when I went on Trash Talk, they were like, they all had like a beer or two. They were like already losing it, and I was like 3 or 4 beers in, and I was like, I feel fine.
Oh, I can't drink that much.
Not that bad.
Oh, and right before, and yes.
Oh, I was just say that just to back that up. I have a beer right now, so I'm glad I didn't ask. Oh,
you're good. I drink sometimes. I drank last week. It depends on the episode. But
I have a Wegmans watermelon sparkling water, which tastes like bubble gum.
This sounds delightful.
I'm drinking something terrible and good at the same time.
I'm drinking coffee because I'm hungover.
Oh, I do want to give a shout out to another podcast called Movement Radio. It's a podcast where they talk about professional wrestling and topics such as wrestling, sports, haunted places, and they cover a bunch of random topics. There will be a link in the show notes. If you try to search them, Movement Radio will get you a Christian podcast, so it's not the one you're looking for. But there will be a link in our show notes if you want to follow these guys. They're also on all the podcasting things. And I think we should get this show on the road since it's been 4 minutes. Stefan, do you want to introduce the lovely, wonderful game you chose for us tonight?
Yeah, we're playing Friday the 13th on the original Nintendo, which came out in 1989, and it was made by Atlas Games.
Which I did not know that.
Yeah, who I think also did in another amazing game called Superman 64. And so what did you guys think about Friday the 13th?
I like how you didn't even mention like Persona, like their most famous game series.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Also, they made one of the most famous games of all time, but we're not going to mention that.
No, I want to keep it where, yeah.
Well, this is published by LJN, which is also important because LJN is known as like Bad Game Company.
That's what LJN stands for, is Bad Game Company.
It's close enough, isn't it?
Didn't even get that right.
I know, but they make bad. They're known for bad. They're known as being bad games.
Well, they were one of those like toy companies that decided back in for those who don't know, back in the late 80s, early 90s, that was when like the second video game crash happened. And when a bunch of toy companies were like, yeah, these video games, I don't know why they talk like old newsies. Oh, these video games are selling well. Let's get on the action.
That's how this podcast works. That's all I got.
Tune in for our games. Stay for my weird voices that are all disconnected.
First, I do want to ask before we dive into the game, who else had played this before Stefan picked this for the show?
I had,
of course. No.
I had never played it. We were all quiet, like, who's going to answer first?
I know,
right?
My fault.
I had never played it, but I was always aware of it because despite how bad this game was reviewed, I would like the version of Jason Voorhees in the game is very popular.
Mm-hmm.
The actual like visual aesthetic of this Jason Voorhees is very, very popular. So I was always aware that it existed. I was always aware of like that Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, it's used, I think, when the new Friday the 13th game was being made, they gave away that skin of the one that's in this game for free because they were like falling behind in schedule or some crap like that.
Well, it's a very easy skin, just dye it blue.
Yeah.
I had played this once at a friend's house. I must have been like 16, or I don't know if I even played it, but I must have been 15 or 16, let's say. I went over to my friend's house. He had an NES, and he couldn't get one of his friends trying to get the game to work, and it wouldn't work. He had to he tapped the cartridge, blew in it, like shook it, and then it worked, and I saw this game for the first time, and I saw maybe 5 minutes of it before they just turned it off, and that was the last I ever saw. Until this week.
Did he try rubbing his balls on it? That works for me.
He did not.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
That's a technique. All right.
Certainly an option.
I have a theory, though, on why Jason looks the way he does in this. Because it was developed by Atlas, who's Japanese. Mm-hmm. And I'll send this to you guys right now. But Friday the 13th, Part 3, the poster in Japan, he actually is purple.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's what they thought he looked like.
Yeah, so I'm like, I think that's what they went off of, a rough poster.
That makes a lot of sense. That's really funny, actually.
I was actually going to mention that too, but he beat me to it. There's a YouTube video that talked about it. That's where I heard about it.
It makes sense that nobody who made this game like watched any of the movies, really.
Yeah.
So
no clue what was going on.
Yeah.
My next question I want to be, who actually played this game without cheating? It wasn't me.
I did.
Oh, so I'm the only asshole in the group. Okay.
I didn't say I played it well. I just said I played it. I didn't do a very good job at playing it without cheats, but I tried to have the real experience.
Yeah.
Of dying
over and over and over, and incessant warnings and alarms to run across a camp to save dying children. So that's what I got to do for a lot of time over the last week and change.
Which is very funny because I'm pretty sure Stu remembers this too, but in Jason lore, he actually doesn't kill any children. He just kills teenagers.
Yeah.
There's, I guess, 2 movies where he does see kids, but he doesn't kill them or something. He just avoids them.
Oh, God, what's the kid's name now? I'm going to forget.
Isn't it Tommy Jarvis's brother or something? Or
Tommy Jarvis. Jarvis is like a huge part of the lore in the movies. He's kind of like, I guess he's kind of like Jason's arch nemesis in a way.
Oh, before we get any farther, I should say spoilers for this game and spoilers for the movies, even though it doesn't give a matter, but I want to say it. So
yeah.
No.
Tommy Jarvis, first played by Corey Feldman.
Mm-hmm.
Before he lost his mind.
Right. That's right.
Before he lost his mind.
Before he lost his mind. Well, he is 100% he's lost his mind now. He is crazy. Oh, I mean, he's not like dangerous crazy. He's just like really weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also want to say that until the show, like, one of the problem with this game is it explains nothing to you and it lies to you in the first screen.
Yeah.
Use the torch to light the fireplaces. That's not how this works.
Well,
kind of.
Well, it does. It kind of sort of does.
You need a lighter to light fireplaces.
I'm going to say this game was misunderstood.
Yes.
I kind of agree. I actually do. I think this game, we'll get into it, but this is an interesting failure. Yeah. It has a lot of good ideas that were, this game needed 3 more months in the oven for people to kind of balance it. If it were more balanced, this could be a pretty solid game. There's lots of really good ideas, just really bad execution.
This game is not balanced. If you don't know what to do, you will fail and fail and fail again.
Well, here's
my thing. I
thing.
think that's just because it's an NES game. And
good point.
Back in those days, it was like, fuck it, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, right.
Well, in the instruction booklet, it actually does give you like hints of what to do and how to do it. So I mean, it's vague only in that if you threw away your instruction booklet, you were a dumbass.
You are
I guess.
done, and you're done. There's no chance.
Or if you rented the game.
Did the instruction booklet also give you like the fact that the counselors, the fact that the different counselors had different like stats to them?
No, it doesn't mention that. I'm actually looking at it right now because
I didn't realize that they had different stats to them until I was looking up information about the game.
No, it just gives you their dumb faces in cartoon form staring at you and their names. It's just 6 dumb faces. That's all it is. So they don't help you too much, but we'll probably get into the mechanics and such. But this is an interesting failure. That's how I label it.
That's a good way to say it. I mean, I'll probably be the mean guy in this game just because someone has to be, and I want to be. So.
Well, I thought I was going to be for sure. I thought going in, I was like, this game, like I've heard nothing but shitty things about this game. It's so crappy. I'm going to like destroy this game when we get to the actual podcast. And then when I played it, I was like, I think I might be coming around on this.
It's not too bad.
I think I understand this game.
I wish it wasn't impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a hard time with the whole dodging Jason, which is like Punch-Out, I guess, which I never played Punch-Out.
But
it
also
100%
exactly like Punch-Out.
My controller... let's say my controller's not licensed by Nintendo, let's say, so it might have not been as receptive enough to do that.
Well, it's kind of like Punch-Out. It's actually a little bit more difficult because in Punch-Out you can just tap left or right, and in this game you have to press down and left or down and right.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much harder.
Jason is a fucking beast in this game.
Look, controllers were a lot simpler back in those days.
Yeah. See, my thing was, so I guess question is how far did everyone get without cheats?
Oh, I beat the game.
You finished it? Wow.
Twice.
Wow. Okay. All right. I beat Jason once, and that was the end of it.
I beat it.
I saw Jason
playing it again as well.
Does that count? I saw him. in a room. He hit me.
Fair.
And then I put game genie codes in, and he didn't hit me anymore without any problems. So.
I say like it gets a lot easier as you go along because you start finding like the better weapons and you get a sense of once you get a sense of Jason's like his pattern, it becomes way easier because he's got a very simple attack pattern.
Yes, it's really straightforward, especially the first day. My issue was always dying too early and having my other camp counselors when they're being attacked, as they're getting attacked, their life is going down. So no matter what I do, I tried to strategically place my counselors in the right place and make sure the slow, terrible ones were in close proximity, but it was always the timing thing for me. And the woods are a disaster, but we'll get to that, I'm sure, too.
Oh, yeah, the woods are actually really, you can get lost in them super easily. But see, that's weird to me that you guys use the other counselors because I actually had the opposite effect where I would just use Mark pretty much the whole game. Like I would chase after Jason the whole entire game. And for whatever reason, like when you're outside facing him on the main trail, you can just continuously spam at him and he hardly ever hits you. And that's always the best place to like fight him.
Yeah.
So
I like fighting him outside.
Yeah. I hated going in the cabins, period.
I was all about Mark and Chrissy because Chrissy's by far the best. Chrissy, she runs super fast. She's got like the fastest running speed, the highest jump. She throws fast. The only thing that like is her downfall is that she's a slow rower, but like the rowing section is like rowing is not that big of a deal.
Oh, but he hits you every time when you're rowing.
Well, just switch to like Mark or Paul, and they've got super fast rowing.
Oh, yep. Okay.
Yeah, Mark and Chrissy are the two that are basically the only ones you need to worry about. I actually, after my failure, I'm like, I beat him once. And that's fine for me.
Impressive.
I'm good. So then I watched a Let's Play of someone doing it within under a half an hour. And I discovered that, Mark is basically, it's all you really need. So it's like, that would have been nice to know.
Well, we should describe like what the whole conceit of the game is, because it's kind of odd.
Kind of?
It's like you're hunting Jason while he's hunting kids.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
he's like he's like you're on. So you're in Camp Crystal Lake, which is apparently way bigger than it is in any of the movies. It's like a whole national park.
There's a lot of running, a lot of side scrolling running in this game too.
Yeah, and the cabins are spread out across. I really enjoy the fact that the cabins are spread out across the entirety of Camp Crystal Lake rather than being in like one central area. So, like, let's say like you get to the end of your, a normal night of camping, and everyone's just finished dinner and they all have to go back to their cabin. Like one kid has to walk 5 feet and 2 other kids have to walk like a mile or 2 to get to their cabin on the other side of the lake.
One kid's rowing.
Yeah, one kid's like rowing across to go to sleep.
I had to think about that, but that's a very good point because this game has a really like a large map, like we were saying, where you run around and it's all a side scroller.
Yeah.
Oh, and we should explain that a little bit because it can be confusing. So the map is circular, and when you're going right, you're going counterclockwise around it, and when you're going left, you're going clockwise. So if you branch off into another little circular piece, you have to keep remembering to go right for clockwise and the opposite. Yeah,
and there's 3 circles for the map.
Yeah, there's 1 giant circle and 2 concentric circles within it.
It's such a screwed up game.
It's very odd. It's a very odd setup. But like, once you figure out the movement in it, it becomes a lot easier again. The hard part is like when you realize that somebody's in trouble and they're nowhere near you, and you really gotta book it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, Jason's hunting the kids.
They can lose a lot of health.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and it's just Bill was saying too, in the woods as well, you can get super lost.
It reminded me of like is it Resident Evil 0 where you'll put like Rebecca in a room and then you'll play as the other dude whose name I can't remember. I always call him Snake.
Other dude.
I call him Snake. He looks like Snake from The Simpsons.
Billy Cohen.
Billy Cohen, that's it. Billy Snake Cohen. But you'll get like the alarm that's like Billy's in trouble, and you have to switch to him, and you realize he's getting munched on by a zombie. It's like it reminded me a lot of that play style where it's like Mark's being killed. Switch, quick, go find Mark and prevent Jason from killing him.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, and it was interesting too when it comes to that mechanic. It's actually a great example of the game having a good idea but failing in implementation. The idea that you can't, and this is in case you don't know, you can't just switch your character on the fly. Your character has to be in a small cabin before you switch. That's a really good idea because in the theme of the game or in the world of the game, your character can't just sit there on the side of the road while you go to the idea. The idea is that your character has to hide, and then you can go and change to another character, and that kind of makes sense. But it's also horrific because now, if you're in the woods, like I am, and you're lost, you're boned. Like there's nothing you can do except just hit up, down, and pray you get out in time.
Oh my God.
Which are terrible.
This game is Martian Gothic. This game is 1989 Martian Gothic.
I wish I knew it. I know it's a replay, but I've never seen it.
It's a terrible game.
Yeah, we should have a show someday.
1980, I think 1985 game is what it was. That was just like, oh God, it's so bad. It came out like the Commodore 64, and I think there were probably like 3 games on the Commodore 64 that are actually still playable today. If that. Commodore 64 just was inundated with shit games.
Oh, and this is one thing that I don't think anybody realized at the time, but at least this game is Friday the 13th is classified as a survival horror game, which is 100% accurate.
Totally.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like one at first, like because you're a platformer, you're jumping around, but it is 100% one. It's just early version of one.
Well, this is where I'm going to make my point that this isn't a survival horror game, and this is why I think this game was misunderstood. This was a parody game. This game was a parody of Friday the 13th. Because you are boxing Jason a la Punch Out. There's 15 kids scattered around this massive camp, and just counselors, and they're just all like Jason's hunting you, but at the same time you are actively hunting Jason and trying to kill him. The whole point of the game is you have to defeat Jason 3 times and then you win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's got something about the music. It's only got 2 tracks in it, pretty much.
It had music? That's weird.
Barely. But But the music was so like basically, it was so like basic horror music. This game felt like I was playing a joke. Like this was a joke game that somebody made.
It is a joke, but not meant to be, I don't think.
Like I'm convinced that like some Japanese guys in Atlas saw the poster for Friday the 13th and they were like, as a joke on the side, like while they were making some other game, they're like, why don't we just make like some shitty Friday the 13th game and throw it out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And The Rock is a joke, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Not fun.
This game feels like it feels like the kind of game you would see somebody playing in a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, I can get with that. Yeah, I don't know if I could. Yeah, I can get with that totally. I don't know about a parody. I just think again, this is probably the. And again, I wish we talked to people who made this. I'm really curious because again, as we talked about at the Open, this was a time where LGN and a lot of toy companies were getting into games and just cranking these things out. You know, the classic Nightmare on Elm Street and your Friday the 13th. They were just firing these things out to gain some sort of market share back. So I just wonder if, like you said, a bunch of Japanese developers getting a script or somebody writing down the synopsis of Friday the 13th and saying, all right, well, in Japan, we guess killing kids, I guess, is okay. We'll just make that part of it, which is also very grim when you think about it. But
also, it's not okay. And I think Japan has a bunch of weird laws when it comes to stuff like that.
I should hope so.
Well, I mean, like not real laws, but I mean, not like when it comes to TV and stuff. Like they're very against having that shown in movies and games. I want to say.
I think you're thinking of China, Mike.
Well, China doesn't like a lot of things, but
yeah,
mainly ghosts. China hate ghosts.
Yep.
I don't know what it is about that.
They wouldn't show the Ghostbusters 2016 movie over there, which actually is beneficial to them.
I think, that's the one time they came out. I want to say, like, one of the Avengers, I think it was one of the Avengers movies they had to, like, really severely edit. Like, I think in Civil War, Civil War starts with, like, Tony talking about his parents and showing that, like, that flashback. But it's like, it's a computer. But it's like, I think that was edited. I don't quote me on this, but I want to say somebody told me that was edited out in the Chinese version because it was, like, too ghost adjacent. Which is really funny. That means like, if that's the case, then people in China were like watching Civil War and going like, why the fuck is Tony so angry at Winter Soldier? Like, what did he do? Yeah, they hate ghosts.
All right.
Oh, you learned it here first. Yeah. Factual.
It's one of those weird things where nobody can judge the Chinese market for movies at all. Like, no one knows what's going to do well over there.
That's true.
Like that Great Wall movie with Matt Damon and Willem Dafoe. That movie was like that was a Chinese movie that did like fucking gangbusters in China. And people watch it here and they're like, I don't really get this.
Didn't Warcraft do really well in China? But
Warcraft did phenomenal in China.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It fucking destroyed the box office over there.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense. All right, back to Friday the 13th. One other thing, like this game has you jumping around, and one thing that's really stupid is you start off with a rock because people throw rocks at Jason in some weird world, and as you kill zombies, for who knows why they're zombies, but you kill zombies, and you have to jump to make items spawn, and they'll spawn a lighter, and it will spawn a knife,
and
butter
health
knife,
potions, and
vitamins. Oh, yeah, there are keys.
I as an aside, I looked up like the top American movies in China.
Oh no.
Yeah, so Warcraft is on there. Now You See Me Too, not necessarily the first one. The second one did way better. And 7 Years in Tibet, which I would think would do really poorly in China.
Wow.
It's a good movie, by the way.
It is, but I can't imagine that movie doing well in China. They kind of have a whole thing going on with Tibet.
All right.
They took over. That's a whole nother conversation.
And the Last Witch Hunter is also very popular in China.
That's terrible.
They love Vin Diesel.
I've never seen that movie. All right, but you get vitamins that heal you in this game. Like not good though. Like don't they only work if you die?
Yeah.
No. Well,
if your health is depleted to the bottom, then they get used. Is what it is.
Okay.
And you can also use them to heal other counselors. So you can, if you run into another counselor, you can cure them with potions you have. Potions with whatever those things, red jars of life that you have.
Jelly.
But that's again another part of this game is that you can't heal yourself on demand. It is impossible to do so. Which again, those health potions basically provide one extra hit. I think it's like 6 or 8. Basically, you get one extra hit against Jason, and you're still toast.
You die so damn fast with Jason. Like even with save states, I could not save and fight Jason normally. Even like I saved before the fight, no matter how many times I tried, I just couldn't do it. Hence the reason why I had cheat codes later. But
the trick is just like hold down the dodge button, pretty much.
Yeah, it's very specific timing.
Yeah, you can get the rhythm down. My final run through of it is when I beat Jason for the first time. I was down to Chrissy with half life. Everyone else is dead. 2 kids hanging out in a cabin somewhere, just huddled together, I'm assuming. And I was able to beat Jason with a knife. And it took about 15 minutes. I just sat there. I'm like, I'm not going to sleep until I defeat you with this knife, Jason. That was good. So it is doable without, it's a pain in the ass without real weaponry, without the torch. And again, we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But that was kind of where I was at.
That torch is fucking phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, that's like this
yeah.
I couldn't find the torch because the guide I was using lied to me, like everything else in this game. You have to get the torch, you have to read these notes and then go in a certain cabin. But the guide I was reading told me to go into the woods and go up and up.
The guide didn't lie to you. That could actually work too.
The thing I know with the torch is that you have to light all the fireplaces first.
And that gives you the flashlight, though.
And the flashlight's pretty. Yeah, if you light all the fireplaces, you get the flashlight, and which is I think pretty useless. That just reveals hidden passages.
Was the guide a British guide? Was it written in England? I wonder because they call flashlights torches.
Oh my god!
I wonder if that's what happened. I wonder if it was a British guy writing the guide and he was like super confused about the fact that there's a torch and a flashlight.
I was lighting all the fireplaces. Because I was playing, I used a health cheat, so I couldn't get hurt to Jason. So when I ran into Jason, like, okay, I'll just stand here and keep hitting you. I don't care what the hell you can do to me. And he could still kill the kids, but he couldn't kill me or any of the counselors. Because I don't know if he could kill them. I didn't find out. But he couldn't hurt them during that timer. And I was trying to get the torch. I was trying to get other weapons. I couldn't get anything but the butter knife. Because to me, it's a butter knife. Because it's useless. But you have to, when you go in these cabins, like the screen transforms from a side-scroller to a weird, I don't know what the hell to call it. You go like forward, left. You can go around the cabin. It's really weird. Like imagine like me playing. It feels like an old PC game.
It's like Quark or whatever it was called.
Yeah,
it's Quark. Where it's like move forward, move left, move right.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it turns into like a single scroll game. It's really odd, but I really enjoyed that actually. I enjoyed like it going from side scroller to suddenly becoming an entirely different game.
Whenever you play Jason. We were talking about.
Yeah, I think it actually works pretty well. For me, when I was going through the woods, I quickly realized to do anything in there, I need to draw a map. And then I again quickly realized I'm a grown-ass man with a kid. I don't draw maps anymore. I don't do that. I'm a fancy gentleman. I don't draw maps. So
we have the internet.
Yeah, we have the World Wide Web. We have things. I was also going to say, Michael was reading the guide that was probably written by the guy who wrote this game. And probably thought it'd be meta like 20 years ago. Let's continue to fuck with people who are looking for a guide on the game that I wrote to fuck with people. I think this would be
really funny.
This might be. I think that's what you ran into.
The developers of the game
the video. There's only like 3 videos I could find on YouTube with guides to this game. One is a guy who played as a kid who plays through it all, which is a really good video. And the other one I was watching, he kind of breaks it down and he talks about it. Yeah, I couldn't. I was trying to follow his guide. He made this game seem a lot easier than I was. I couldn't figure out.
You really have to like play it first to know what he's talking about. I looked at that video too, and I was like, this wouldn't make sense to anybody unless they had already played the game. Then they'd be like, okay.
Yeah. It makes like looking back after I ran through and beat it, and like I watched videos and I read stuff. Like I understand this game now, but you get nothing when you're playing it. I mean, I can't imagine kids getting anywhere in this game when you're younger.
Yeah.
Imagine getting it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just saying, imagine getting this as a rental, like you said, without even the instruction manual, and you're just like, there's my weekend.
You ain't gonna get nowhere. And like you do get, we were talking about a little bit. You do get other weapons in this game. Like you do get a torch. That we were talking about. You have to do a stupid set of things to get this torch, and then you can actually do real damage to Jason. Jason has what 30 some health or something.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
And the knife takes like 3 hits to take off 1 bar of health, where the torch takes off 1 bar of health in 1 hit. And when you fight him in the cabin, the boxing match, you have to take off someone's health or hit him so many times, and then he'll leave, and he'll be back or something like that. Whatever the hell it's at.
Part of the difficulty too is not only being able to fight Jason in the cabins or outside of it, but it's that you only get to hit him, I think, at least 7 times or something before he leaves. So you still have to go chase him down again.
You've defeated Jason for now.
Yeah. For now. And I think you have a couple of times where. Oh, sorry. I think you also have a couple of times, whereas you have to fight him a certain amount of times, and then once you hit, like, I think 7 or 8 times in a day, you're basically locked into that battle, win or lose.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. When he gets down there, he will not leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is nice when you're trying to kill him.
Mechanic.
Odd game.
The mechanics of this game are very strange.
Really
yeah,
cool.
Again, it's not like you're not trying to. If this game came out today, which I mean, I guess it did come out like 3 years ago. There was the Friday the 13th game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's a good game, I think.
Yeah, it's all right. It's basically like a Dead by Daylight-esque game.
I wouldn't say that. It's like Evolve. Remember that game?
I do remember Evolve, actually.
No one else does.
Nope.
It was okay. But yeah, like if this game came out today as a survival horror, you'd have some objective. You'd be trying to escape. You'd be trying to get something to get out. Like the Friday the 13th game. Usually it's like, oh, you've got to find like keys to get to and the gas to get the car running so you can drive away in the car, or you got to find gas to get the boat running and like engine parts. But this game is just survive for a couple days
and kill him.
Beat Jason. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you're like we said, you're actively hunting Jason, which from the one movie I watched does not make any sense. So,
no, it's not until like, oh god, like the 5th movie I want to say, where is it the 4th movie where like they are actively like trying to kill Jason?
Part 6 was C.J. Graham.
Is that it? Jason Lives.
Jason Lives.
You guys keep talking about Jason.
Final
in the movie
Chapter
I watched.
had Tommy Jarvis, and that was when like Tommy Jarvis was tricking Jason as a kid, and they were like they were trying to like trick Jason into a trap to kill him. Spoilers for a movie that came out in 1984. But like that was the first time like they were actively trying to kill Jason. But yeah, this movie's kind of this game is kind of odd because like that's why I say it's almost like a parody game. Because any other game, it's just you trying to escape Jason. But in this game, you're tracking his ass down. You are going to kill him.
And that was my biggest problem, I think, and why I probably failed at it was I was trying to hide and run and build my characters up enough where when I was confronted by Jason, I could defend myself and maybe win. I didn't treat it as stalking him, which I think is definitely the mindset you need to have to be successful. Right. Or else you're going to run into what I did, where he's basically just going to kind of just chip away at you, which is what happens.
You actually play this game from the mindset of Jason, and he sees everybody else as Jason. Tracking him down. That's the real meta of the
game. We should also mention too that Jason is not the only enemy in this game. Well, main enemy. His mom is also in here. And if anyone doesn't know their Friday the 13th lore, his mom is the killer. His mom. Well, you've seen that movie.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did. Jesse, if you're listening, movie's bad. I tell you.
Oh no, that first one's
gonna hate that.
First one's great. It really is great. Awesome. It's the only one I've ever seen, and it's. We'll probably talk about that later too. But
first one and like I don't know, up to like maybe final chapter are all great. 3's okay, but like up to final chapper, they're all pretty good.
I felt and then my wife fell asleep watching 2.
Yeah, and it's in 2 where. You actually discovered, Jenny discovers Jason's shack, and inside of it is like this little shrine that he built with his mom's dead head on it, and he puts all the bodies of his victims around it. So in the game, it's doing the same exact thing, except for when you go in there, his mom looks like Medusa.
Yeah. It's Castlevania Medusa, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they almost pulled a Halloween with Friday the 13th.
Halloween.
You know how the 3rd Halloween movie has nothing to do with Michael Myers? It's like, yeah, they wanted to like turn Halloween into like an anthology series. They wanted to do that with Friday the 13th Part 2. They were gonna make it. It was almost the exact same as Halloween, where Halloween 1 came out, and then originally they were gonna do like as an anthology horror movies. They were all like every single one of them was gonna be set on Halloween. But Michael Myers was so popular that in Halloween Part 2, they just kept having Michael Myers, and then when they did Part 3, everyone was like, "What the fuck? Where's Michael Myers?"
Right.
Yep.
Same thing happened to Friday the 13th Part 2. They wanted to make it a completely different movie that also just took place on Friday the 13th. But Jason was such a popular character in the first movie, despite only appearing at the very, very end of the first movie.
As a child.
Mhm.
Fuck it. It's just all going to be about Jason.
It's funny too because John Carpenter is quoted as saying like he had a bottle of whiskey next to him and he just drank the whole thing writing Halloween 2. He's like, I don't know what the fuck to do with this guy. He's like,
It's the same movie.
God. Yeah.
There's a hospital in it.
I've never seen those movies either.
Oh, those
I
movies are
actually
great.
bought right before this recording. I bought a 8-pack at Walmart of the 8 Friday the 13th movies. I was going to try to watch at least 3 of them before we recorded this episode. I got through one of them. I started watching 2. My wife fell asleep during 2, and that's as far as I got.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. And I asked Mike, I was like, hey Mike, can I get those digital codes off you? He's like, oh, I threw them away.
I threw away the receipt by accident. Because I think I took the bag. I'm like, I need to keep this. I put it somewhere. And I'm like, oh, my dog wants to go outside. So I grabbed the bag and took the bag out with me. And I'm like, oh, no. So, yeah. My dog was happy. Does that count? She
I
was
think,
happy.
No.
I think it's still. I want to say that Friday the 13th is still on Netflix,
It's
but I
not.
think it's one of those movies that's like it's on Netflix in certain countries. So if you have a VPN, you can watch it if you figure out what countries it's available in. But it's part of that like weird hidden backlog of digital media that still exists.
And I think you can
Yeah.
rent it on like YouTube for $3 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
yeah, just go to any video store, honestly. I mean, like
I only bought the set because my wife is big into horror movies. Like, she has Jason and Freddy and Michael Myers and It tattooed on her arm. And that's why I thought it was funny because she's seen these movies before, but she didn't remember any of them.
I'm surprised you
I
haven't.
was asking her questions. She's like, I don't know. She's a big Freddy fan. She's not a fan of Friday the 13th. I'm not either. So,
I don't know if anyone caught this, but has anyone seen Jason Lives? Friday
Yes.
Part 6. Okay, so there's a scene in there with children where he's scaring them. He's just kind of studying them, and the girl screams, and the camp counselors come to like console her, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Well, I was dreaming." She's like, "Well, what was wrong?" She's like, "There was a man that was everywhere." She's like, "What's your name, little girl?" And the little girl's name is like, she's like, "I'm Nancy."
I get that.
Does anyone get my reference?
Isn't that the girl in the first Friday the 13th Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
She was dreaming of Freddy.
That's,
that's
Wow. Okay.
that's really cool.
That is
And
pretty
that's
cool.
how
Yeah.
Freddy versus Jason happened.
Also,
Yeah.
And that's where the
Necronomicon-
Jason and Freddy movies ended. There were no more after that one.
But there should have
Yeah.
been.
Isn't the
2003 was the last time they ever made a Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, and I won't hear anything different.
and the Necronomicon is in one of the Friday the 13th movies, I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, it's like
It's
only
like an
Yeah.
Easter egg.
yeah.
It's in
it's on
Jason
his
Goes to
little,
Hell.
his little shelf.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah.
we should get back to
I like
the
how
game.
many. There's like
Okay.
there's Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and then Jason Goes to Hell is also called Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Like you could tell at what points they were like, all right, we gotta end this fucking series. It's the final chapter, and then immediately after that, they're like, fuck it, a new beginning.
The
I
writers
think,
are always. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think after Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 or something, they had like a fake funeral for Freddy. They're like, he's not coming back ever. And then they made another movie the next year.
Yeah. It's like the Halo thing. Like, we're finishing the fight. 5 more Halo games.
Oh, but back to the game. We were talking about how you fight the Medusa head, and I guess you can kill if you kill her on day 2. Because the game has the 3-day system. You get the sweater, which I know is a
Yep.
reference to one of the movies.
It's
Part 2.
the sweater she wears in the
Part
first movie,
2.
right? Part 2?
Part 2. Yeah.
You know, the
with
first
Jenny.
one, it's just the mother, so they don't need a sweater. Man.
Well, the sweater's like
Sure.
it's just like bits and pieces of items from Friday the 13th lore up to that point. The mom wore a sweater, so the sweater appears in the game as like special armor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
basically.
makes you so that you take half damage.
It's funny that like there's a machete in this game, but that you would think it's Friday the 13th. You'd think the machete would be like the strongest weapon, but it's actually a pitchfork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have any type of?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Is that from anything? The pitchfork?
Yes.
Jason's killed a couple people with a pitchfork.
So.
No.
Yeah.
But no, we should mention that when you do fight his mom, you can actually keep going back every other day and she'll give you something new. So like the first day, I think you get the knife or the machete, and then
Machete.
the second day you get the sweater, and then the third day you get the pitchfork, which I got to be honest, the pitchfork was fucking awesome. Like that tore through Jason. Yeah, it wrecked him.
I need to play this game again. I won't, but I really should.
It's just fucking clears out. Like I think
from what I saw, it's really good.
You throw it,
the videos I watched,
it goes through everything. It's just crazy good.
And also, one thing we had mentioned, as we mentioned earlier, if you go to the small cabin, you can actually trade weapons with counselors. So if you have a day where let's say your Mark is all beat up and you don't want him to die with the torch or the pitchfork, you can give it to somebody else and fight Jason, and then keep your weapons, because if they die, I think the weapon's gone. But also, at the end of the day, they get healed.
We didn't mention that at all, is when you pick up a weapon, only that one counselor has that weapon. So, you are... We vaguely said, you build up your counselors, but, each counselor starts with, rocks that they throw.
Yep.
And when you find an upgraded weapon, only that one person has it. You got to, keep switching back and forth. So, yeah, it's a good idea to have, 2 counselors, and you're switching back and forth between those 2.
Yeah. We should... The good one. Yeah, well, actually, Chrissy does start with girl power, so...
What?
That's very good.
Sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, all 3 of us are like, it's a good joke. It's a good joke. Mike's like, what?
Virtual high five.
Help me. How do I end up on this place?
Yeah, but that's another example of a good idea that makes sense in the world of the game that doesn't truck with actually playing the game for fun. Because, if let's say your one character gets the torch, it wouldn't make sense that everyone has the torch now. Everyone needs to get their own damn torch. Now, I couldn't tell this. And this is going to be a question. When I was playing, I felt like each character had to light all of the cabin fireplaces to get get the useless flashlight. Is that the case, or can one do a couple, the other do a couple? I don't remember. I felt like I kept relighting fireplaces.
I believe all of them have to do it, and to me it wasn't worth it, because you're only going to use it to go through the cave, and to get through the cave you just jump over 2 pits and then I think press up. Yeah.
You can see a spot in the rocks that are, if you know it's there, that are jagged, that tell you where to go. But again, it's one of those things you have to know it's there.
And the other thing, too, is that you would think that if you light fireplaces, because like Mike said, the first thing it says is light all the fireplaces. And you go, yes, sir, game. I will do the thing you told me. And you would think that would get you a torch, because fire equals torch.
You think it would do something good.
Flashlight, which does nothing. Which, again, very frustrating.
This game is just, it's not made to make sense.
Talking about girl power.
We weren't trying to.
Well, it got me thinking. It's Chrissy's not the only character that you can play as an actual character in the movies, right? I think Debbie is in part 3 as well.
I thought they were.
Some of them are characters in the movies, but then Paul, I was trying to find out. There's nobody named Paul. There's 2 people named Paul, but they're both white in the movies, and Paul's black in the game. And I was like, who is this supposed to be?
That's weird. I don't remember those specific names in the movies. I was gonna look that up too, but I was like, eh.
The only one I remember were Chrissy and Debbie, because Chrissy and Debbie were both in the final chapter, I think. I couldn't find any I couldn't find any Lauras. I couldn't find that Paul. There's a couple Georges and Chrissy. There's
Mark. There's a Mark in the first movie and the second movie.
Yeah, I think Mark. I think Mark is a character from the second movie. I think that's what that's supposed to be. I think that's. Okay. I think it might be. Well, he's blonde and Mark Jarvis is brown hair, so it's very confusing.
I know in the first movie, Mark gets pinned to the door with arrows that make absolutely no damn sense. How that woman stuck him on the door with arrows going through him that don't puncture the door. You somehow hold his body up. And I was like, that does not make sense. That was very upset.
Well, I mean, that's a common theme in slasher movies. I think they were trying to one up each other with like stupid things holding people to walls. Because when the first Halloween movie came out, at some point, Michael Myers Michael Myers uses a chef knife and he stabs it through a guy and it hangs the guy from a door. Like the chef knife goes all the way through him into this shitty wooden door and the guy's hanging there.
That's
like
true.
A football player too, like a 250-pound muscly football player.
I don't like slasher movies.
Hanging
That I
off
should say on
closet door.
the show.
Oh, I love slasher movies.
I hate them.
Yeah.
I don't watch them.
I used to, every Halloween was like Halloween is still like my favorite time of year. Like when you get to fall and all the horror movies start coming on, I would just sit down and I'd watch like every bad slasher movie that was on sci-fi all month long. Yeah. I would watch all the slasher movies and then inevitably they'd play Children of the Corn, which is not really a Halloween movie, but it's a great movie. And then every Halloween they would do Ghost Hunters Live for 3 hours, and I watched all 3 hours of it every single year.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I believe in
Ghost Hunters. It was
like
great.
Ghost Hunters.
I ain't afraid of no ghost.
Okay. Okay, back to Friday the 13th. So we talked about the head. We talked about the different weapons you can get.
And Laborti's head.
Yeah, which I didn't even know that she cuts off her head with a machete until I watched the movie last.
She doesn't cut off her head with the machete. That'd be crazy.
Well, isn't that what she did? She hit her.
I know, but the way you said it, it made it sound like she cut off her own head.
Yeah.
Like she swung the machete way too hard and it just followed through like, all the way.
She rolled a 1. That's what happened.
She had a giant Stretch Armstrong arm that just kind of just wrapped around and lopped her head off. Yeah.
Actually, she had the machete, and oh god, who was the chick from the first movie? Who was the survivor girl?
She doesn't live very long.
Alice, yeah.
I liked her. I was really sad when 2 starts and the first thing you see her do is get an ice pick in the head. I was very upset.
I could not believe. I could not that's always a joke in that lore where like they got her back for a second movie to kill her off immediately. It's so fucking funny.
So I have 3 fun facts about that. First off, when Pamela Voorhees gets her head cut off, the hands that are moving on screen, like just moving around, those are Tom Savini's hands.
Really?
And you can actually see hair on them. Yeah.
For those who don't know, Tom Savini is a famous visual effects artist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I had no idea who it was.
Two more facts. One, that first scene in part 2 where Alice gets killed, when the screwdriver goes into her head, the first time they did that scene, it did not retract.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And,
they just stabbed her in the head?
Yep.
Wow.
And the first time Jason appears on screen is in that movie, and you only see his legs walking around down the street. That's actually, Jason was first played by a woman. That's a woman right there.
Huh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Fun
Genuinely
fact. Also,
interesting.
he doesn't he doesn't have a hockey mask in part 2, right?
No.
I didn't get that far, but somebody in Overblood made a comment about him about Baghead, and I'm like, what are they talking about?
Sackhead. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like how I described Tom Savini as a famous visual effects artist and not as an actor. He's also an actor, for those who don't know.
Yes. His most famous role was in Once Upon a Time in Mexico as the guy with the crotch gun.
No, that was from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, Dusk Till Dawn. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, he played Sex Machine.
Sex Machine.
Is that really his character name? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Cool story.
It's a good movie.
He was also
a silly movie.
It is delightful.
He was in my favorite Romero movie, which is impossible to find nowadays, Martin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say Dawn of the Dead, because he's in that, too.
I do. I love Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, he plays Blades in Dawn of the Dead.
Yep.
But yeah, he's in Martin, which is like Romero's a little Romero movie about a vampire, but you never know if he's really a vampire or not. Like the whole plot of the movie is he believes himself to be a vampire. But you never really know for sure. I love it so much, but it's so hard to find. If you find a VHS or DVD, I don't think it was ever actually released on DVD, was it?
I don't think so.
I think it got like a single DVD release, I want to say like 2004, but it wasn't a very big one. It's very hard to find copies of Martin, like actual physical copies of Martin.
I think the only one time I saw it was in one of those like Romero 2-packs or whatever.
Yeah, that's like you're gonna find it more often than not. I think it's on See, the annoying thing is like I've looked for it multiple times online to see if like because I want to see like it was on like Google Movies or something or YouTube, and there's a sitcom called Martin that was on BET.
It's so good.
Yeah, with Martin Lawrence.
Of course.
So whenever I'm like, where can I watch Martin? It's like Martin Lawrence's show. You can watch that everywhere.
Okay, I think that's enough about Martin.
It's enough about
in.
How did we get here? Okay,
Anyway, let's talk about Martin Lawrence. Blue Streak was a really undervalued movie. Owen Wilson in it. It's great stuff.
Okay, so I think
Beverly
another thing
Hills
we
Cop
hadn't
was
mentioned yet in Friday the 13th is when you fight Jason inside the cabin, as each day progresses, in day 2, he switches between two different, he gets faster. But in day 2, you know, he switches between day 1 and day 3 speed. And in day 3, he's just fast as hell and murders you if you're playing the way you're supposed to be playing this game.
Yeah, he throws little shits at you when he's chasing you at some point. It's just nonstop. Like, Jesus Christ.
I know, you know, he like changes weapons. Sometimes he's punching you. Sometimes he has an axe. Sometimes he has a machete, I think, right?
Yeah. It's great when
Okay.
it's great when he's punching you because it just looks like it is straight out of Punch Out.
Oh yeah.
So
He's using his fist. If you show somebody like a little screenshot of him using his fists, they're like, what game is this? And you'd be like, they like re-release Punch Out with like joke characters in it? I don't know what's up.
yeah.
I was going to mention this
terrible.
I was going to mention this at the open, but I was at the so I live in Austin, Texas, and we have the Classic Game Fest here in Austin every year. And there was a guy in the cosplay competition who came dressed as Jason from Friday the 13th on the NES. He came with the purple jumpsuit, and when he got on stage, he kind of did that sideways shuffle and did the few punches. It was
awesome.
Beautiful. It was beautiful. Don't know why he didn't win.
Did he have a giant machete that looked like a toothbrush?
No, but it was one of those one of those festivals where they take away your weapons. I don't know. I guess don't hurt people. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was a
Right.
pretty amazing reference. It was really fun.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier, but the visuals of this Jason are so popular now. It's so funny to me that like people hate this game, like with all like people just despise this game. People have said like it's the hardest horror game ever made, which I disagree with. I don't think
I disagree
with that. But it's like one of the worst games ever made. Which I mean, there are worse games than this.
Oh yeah.
But the look of that purple Jason is so popular. Like I think there's like a pop figure of it.
Really?
Stefan,
Yep.
you have a figure. You have a figure of it.
I have a NECA figure, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
seen
a Funko Pop of it though. The 16-bit Jason, but it's in the blue color.
It's great. That's like it might be my favorite Jason look.
It's pretty rad, I gotta say.
It's stupid, but it fits with this game.
Yeah, it's like I would really love like when they said they were gonna do the new like the Friday the 13th reboot. Part of me was like really hoping that it would be super stylized. Like I kind of want like them to like do like a Stranger Things with Friday the 13th and have it be like super 80s, but go like even more over the top 80s visual effects where it's just like the whole movie has a blue tint on it and like Jason's like that neon blue standing out. I would love that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I just want them to do like a super stylized Friday the 13th movie. If slasher movies come back, they have to be like oh god, what's that movie The Guest, where it's like everyone has like there's like synth techno playing over the entire movie and there's a point at the end where like they're in like a rave or something and it's just like really harsh reds and blues and greens. Like that's what I want Friday the 13th to look like from now on. Everyone should watch The Guest.
Cool.
Great stuff.
Oh, and then eventually, I think we're kind of wrapping up this game. One thing I do
The
want
game
to
is
say,
only like 40 minutes. It's like,
you can beat it.
there's
Oh
not
yeah,
a
if you
ton
know
of
what you're
content.
doing, this game is really fucking short. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll never figure it out without someone telling you.
Yeah.
Or you throw your face in through the TV, but it doesn't explain anything to you. Well, when you beat Jason, as one person put it, it ends like any horror movie or any Friday the 13th movie. It's like, you beat Jason for now. Is he dead? We're not telling. Something like that, isn't it? Something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
it goes like the classic slasher, like, oh, like, will he? It'd be great if he did the James Bond thing, and it's like Jason will return in Casino Royale. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, Anything else you guys want to mention about the game before we go on to a poll I did?
I mean, when we were talking about the length of it, I was like, this is one of those games that I actively looked up speed runs of because I was curious to see how quick anybody beat it. And some speed, like there are a ton of speed runs that are like I think they're I don't know if it's the current record or the former record. One was like 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
What? My God.
Yeah, awesome. There were a lot that were like in between 3 minutes and 4 minutes.
That's amazing.
Oh wow. This might be the current record at 1:54.
How is that possible?
There's got to be a glitch or something that they're using.
Yeah.
Mike's like, I beat that with cheats.
No, it took me 30 to 40 minutes because I only had the knife. I couldn't find the torch. I didn't do anything. It takes forever if you use just a knife and just pick at them. Even with cheats, it took me a good hour of sitting there playing back and forth trying to finish this game.
Yeah, oh, wow. It looks like they use some kind of exploit to get the torch immediately. Oh wow, holy shit. Yeah, within 20 seconds they have the torch.
How is that even a thing? Wow. All right. Respect.
Oh, it's just like I guess it's just it depends on where you start. You can it depends on where you start, you can just get the torch immediately.
There's also a lot of randomness to this game too. That plays a part. There's a lot of things that are random. Where Jason is, things of that nature.
Well, doesn't Jason actually go in a pattern, like when he's going around the cabin? At least I thought I saw that somewhere.
Isn't a pattern, but he can also choose to go around one of the other circles.
Oh, right. Okay.
So but there's a little it's always counterclockwise, is what it is.
That part's obviously true. All right. Well,
I'm absorbed by this speed run. This is insane.
Okay, you enjoy that. I'll read my poll. I did a poll to ask people what their favorite Friday the 13th movie is, because my favorite is Freddy vs. Jason. Because it's the only one I saw until I saw the first one a couple nights ago.
I mean, it's not a bad one. Freddy vs. Jason it's goofy, but it's not a bad movie.
I haven't seen it in years, but I remember liking it when I was in high school. So whether or not I would still like it, I don't know.
There's a part where Jason or Freddy shows up as like a weird caterpillar thing, and the CGI is just god awful.
I remember. Yeah. I know. So I did the poll. The number one voted between the two different groups I did it was part 6 with 21 votes.
Not surprising.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jason Lives is very, very popular.
And the next one was part 4, the final.
I was about to say
not surprising.
I was gonna say final chapter.
Yeah.
Final chapter.
I know when I bought that set, Stefan's like, you need to watch number 4 and watch number 6. Those are the good ones. And I watched number 1, and I'm just like, oh.
Final chapter. They bring back Tom Savini, and he does all the effects for it, and he does like Jason out of the mask and Tommy Jarvis like dressing himself up as Jason. It's so good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to watch more of them throughout October, but we'll
just
see.
Watch final chapter. You don't have to watch the rest of it. I mean, like they're all. Like they start to get really goofy pretty quickly after final chapter, but like Jason Takes Manhattan is one of those movies that is great to watch for people who are diehard fans of slasher movies because it's just so much like jokey ridiculousness in it. Like when he punches fucking when he punches the guy's head off.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the actor. Who's the name of the actor? He punches the guy's head off of his fucking body.
I forget his name.
That's in Jason Takes Manhattan, right?
Mm-hmm. And then it flies off a building and rolls into a garbage can, and the garbage can closes.
Yeah, it's like slapstick. It's great.
Yeah, I probably will never.
Add all they needed was to add wacky sound effects.
I don't care. Oh, God. Like I watched the first one, and the only thing that made sense is that everybody's like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing here?" And all of a sudden they get stabbed. I mean, that made sense. If you saw an old woman until she pulled out the knife, you wouldn't be too scared of her. Like that made sense. But
fun fact about that too: Siskel and Ebert, they reviewed that movie very harshly, and the person who played Pamela Voorhees was Betsy Palmer, and I think who's the brown-haired one? Is it Siskel?
Ebert has white hair now.
Ebert has white hair, and
yeah. So Siskel.
One of them's dead. So
Siskel literally said how could Betsy Palmer do this to her fan base? Here's her address. Write her and tell her how horrible she is.
Oh my God! Really?
Yep.
What
he
the
really
fuck,
did that.
Siskel? Oh my God!
It
Well,
was
this is
like
before the internet, but still, that's pretty shitty.
Siskel
Super
doxed an
fucked
actress in 1980. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. Not fun.
Jesus Christ!
Why would you do that to someone?
That's so fucked up.
So mean.
That's almost as bad as his Fight Club review.
yeah.
I don't
When they
remember what
asked her-
year John Lennon got shot, but still, I mean, I should know that.
Well,
But that
when
same
they
idea,
asked
people
her
are crazy.
about it, when they asked Betsy Palmer about it, she was like, "Well, those who can and those who can't do criticize."
Yeah, that famous line.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was saying about the first movie. So I mean, it didn't grab me. Like I will try to watch more just because like I feel like I should see these movies. Because when I was a kid, I was terrified of horror movies. I still don't like them, but I never watched any of these as a kid. I avoided anything that was horror. So
Yeah, it's funny. I'm in the same boat as Michael. The way I describe, because again, I'm the same way. I'm not a big horror movie guy. I like them to a certain extent. I don't like jump scares. I don't, that whole thing really turns me off. But I feel like Friday the 13th, the movie, I've seen it in the course of my 38 years of life at some point in different pieces on TV, at someone's house. So if I collected all my Friday the 13th memories, it would probably make a whole movie. And then I feel like I've experienced all of it. Yeah.
My favorite thing about that is you've definitely seen parts of other movies and just amalgamated them into Friday the 13th. You're probably like, why does Jason look different halfway through this movie?
Right. I mean, it's just one of those things I feel like is just kind of ubiquitous. It's like always been there. So,
well, the first one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, okay, that was it.
Okay. The first one doesn't have a lot of jump scares. Actually, the first one's like has like a lot of atmosphere and just tensity to it. And the fact that like Jason isn't even in the movie is probably like I think a lot of people when they think of like Friday the 13th, I think they imagine that all the movies are pretty much the same like schlocky horror. But that first movie is like it's fantastic. It's just nothing but build up for the entire movie and the reveal.
It's supposed to be it's a thriller. I mean that same idea of it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, and what I kind of like the way I kind of see with the first Friday the 13th is it kind of it reminds me again a lot of Halloween. I think it has very similar lineage, I suspect, because it's all there was not a lot of money, and everything is built off of really great technique. So it's slow paced and it's got some really cool effects, but everything is just built off of tension, which is free. If you just all that requires is really good filmmaking and film craft to make something that's so tense.
Yeah.
So I just think they're marvelous and just examples of what you can do with very little, with some skill.
Yeah, the budget
It's funny.
It was like $500 million, which sounds like a lot of money. Because but back in like movie terms, that's like
that's nothing.
Pennies.
Yeah.
The only horror movie I really like that I liked as a kid and I still like is It. I love Stephen King's It, that TV movie.
Oh no,
that's the one that grabbed me. And I remember as a kid, I was terrified of horror movies. I was just terrified of movies in general for a while. And I saw that movie on one Halloween or the Saturday before Halloween, and I watched that whole movie. And ever since then, I was like, I'm okay with this. It helped me. It helped me get through stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. We had like because it was a TV movie, we had like a VHS recording that somebody had made, and I don't know how we got a hold of it, but they were like selling it at a video store, a recording of the TV movie. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely illegal happened there, but
someone skipping the commercials manually and all that.
And I finally bought the DVD copy of it, and I was like, "Oh, this actually looks good. It doesn't look like a shitty recording that somebody made on their VCR."
On USA.
Yeah, it had the TV logo in the bottom corner of it the entire time. So I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, I was like, "Oh, is that not supposed to be in the movie?" It's weird that other movies don't have that in them.
The good old days, huh?
Yeah, it's weird how this all came together too. Do you guys know the movie Last House on the Left?
Yes,
I know of it.
The original was created by two guys, John Carpenter and Sean Cunningham. John Carpenter went on to do Michael Myers, and Sean Cunningham went on to do Friday the 13th.
Oh,
So
kind of cool.
I mean, yeah, it's like everyone knew each other and they were just ripping each other off in Hollywood.
All right, should we move?
All their ideas.
You guys ready to move on to listener questions?
Sure. I hope they're all Friday the 13th based, or just
They
horror
are.
based. I'll answer any horror movie question.
Well, yeah, they're all. I mean, I got it from a couple different groups. I mean, I shouldn't say listener question because they're questions, memories, comments. I just kind of say, here, post stuff, people. I might read it. That's about how it happened. All right, first one I want to read from Keith O'Donnell. Have fun? Question mark. No, I did not have fun playing this game.
I did.
I actually did. I actually had a pretty good time with it. I felt bad because, again, this is the kind of game that's been AVGN'd to death, right? And it's everyone. This has kind of gone through the ringer. So when I went into it, I wanted to like temper my expectations a bit, but I didn't want to go into it the idea, oh, this is going to be brutal. It was hard, but I'm like, I could, if I was better at it and had more time to get better at it, this is some pretty cool ideas here. Again, just really bad execution, unless you know exactly what to do. So,
good point. Yep. All right, another thing I want to read from Robert CL. I mean, it's one of LJN's better games. Take that as you will. Yeah. That made me laugh. For those that don't know, LJN is not known for making good games, let's say.
Oh, we mentioned a toy company that decided that they were going to try to weasel into the video game market.
Except that we are, I'm going to say this now, next year in Spooktober, we're going to play Nightmare on Elm Street for NES. So, not before, but next Spooktober.
I think
want to do that.
It's like Lego the only toy company that's like consistently released incredibly popular games.
Maybe.
I can't think of any other like toy. I guess you could argue that like Star Wars is a toy company, blah blah blah.
Nintendo's a toy company.
Oh,
it was a toy company.
It was a toy company, yeah, but
I know what you mean.
Nintendo and like, because like Lego moved into making video games. Because I remember when like the first Lego games were coming out, people were like, "Ah, this is stupid. No one's gonna play a Lego game." But they're all really fun and really great.
Yeah. No, they're great. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I really don't know. I can't think of any
other toy companies that made like really popular games.
McFarlane Toys, but I don't think any of those games were popular.
No.
Oh, that reminds me. I actually bought a McFarlane toy a couple days ago at Walgreens. It was
What'd you get?
God, I can't think of his name. David Bowie from Labyrinth. Tiff is obsessed with Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, so it was a figure of his character from Labyrinth. Power of the Babe? Babe with the power. You said.
I bought David Bowie from Labyrinth.
I have his carcass.
David Bowie didn't die. He just got transformed, and he's like the movie Mannequin. Every night he comes back alive. During the day, he's just a figure.
We sit there and play Ziggy Stardust together. I play my Guitar Hero controller.
Dance magic, dance magic, dance.
Okay.
At some point.
Good movie. All right, some more questions. One from Stefan Finley. I played it endlessly as a child. I want to get it again to play it now that I know there's more to it than just walking forward and throwing rocks at Jason.
Yeah,
there's a lot more.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, there's a lot more in this game than people think there is.
I mean, I've been hating on this game this episode partly because I felt someone should because no one else was. But
I honestly thought I was going to. I
don't.
For sure, I was like, I'm gonna be terrible in this game.
I expected you guys to, honestly.
I cheated, so I mean, my version was different than what other people played because I couldn't die. If it wasn't for Game Genie codes, I would have never seen the first day end of this game. I'd have been like, "Fuck you, Stefan! Fuck Jason! Fuck this game!"
Did you lose the game? Technically, Mike, because if all the counselors and kids die, you lose as well. So I wonder if you could still lose the game in like God mode.
I don't. He can kill the kids. He can kill the kids.
Yeah, if he kills there's like, I mean, it's a lot. Like he's got to really do some work. But there's 15 kids.
He kills 5 at a time if you don't do anything.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they can go fast if you're not.
Even I think on day 3 too, if you get there and the counter is very low, then you still lose children.
I've got a fuck. Oh my god! I just had like the weirdest like image in my head of Jason just walking to a room of 5 kids, like picking one up and killing the other kids with one kid.
I had the exact same thought as while playing this game because I'm weird.
It's just.
And I had the further thought was I'm sitting there going, so what happens when the counselor leaves? Just the other kids just sitting there with the dead bodies, like, all right, put all our fun. Shove them in the corner, I guess. I don't know.
There's a scene from Jason X where he's killing the one girl with the other girl. This is with 5 kids. Oh my god!
All right,
that's
I think I need to.
Yeah. And then I
Okay.
my
Master
sanity. after
Jason,
that.
what
That's
should we do?
He like walks in. It's like the scene from fucking the Star Wars Episode 3. He's like, Jason, what are you doing here? He pulls out his machete. Just the kid looking up at him.
Okay.
It's still George Lucas's son for some reason. They didn't change.
I
Tom
hate
Jarvis
that
is
scene.
like, you killed younglings.
You were supposed to run the camp, Jason, not destroy it.
I got
Okay.
the high ground.
I have the dry grounds.
Yeah.
Jason flopping around
It's
in
in
the
the
water.
lake.
Oh, okay. This was from Antoine Thomas. I used to rent this game from the local video store. I could never figure it out. I watched the video of folks beating it in eight minutes, and like, how was an 8-year-old me supposed to figure that out? You're not supposed to figure this
Nope.
out. I mean, this is the kind of game I guess you would struggle at for months before you figured out what the hell you're doing.
I mean, yeah, if you're that kid who got this game in 1989 and this was the only game you had on the NES, then you probably sat down and you played it until you could beat it in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you had to do that year. So yeah, this was Christmas present, 1989. Then yeah, you figured it
You
out.
had a bad Christmas.
It was a
Figured-
different era back in
Oh
the,
yeah.
back in the
Totally.
late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
People that are like, oh, things were better back then. Like, go fuck yourself.
Nope. Nope.
No.
things were so much worse.
Oh, this one's funny. From Jonathan O'Donnell. You know how they're coming out with that collection that has Aladdin and Lion King? It'd be great to get a similar package with the old horror games. So somebody
That-
wants LJN horror games.
None of them
That
were
would be
like,
cool.
this is the only playable version.
Yeah.
That would be
They're not
great.
very
That would be
I'd be
quite
into that.
awesome.
Yeah. Why not?
I mean,
A horror collection.
I'll buy anything in a physical collection if you throw a $5 tag on it. So, you know.
I mean, between Friday the 13th and like Dead by Daylight, we're seeing a resurgence of like cool horror characters and games.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Dead by Daylight that got is it Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th that got Ash Williams?
Dead by Daylight. Friday the 13th
Yeah.
cannot have anything added to it because of a lawsuit. There was a lawsuit with the Friday the 13th franchise that someone had it
Mm-hmm.
and then lost it, and then the Friday the 13th game wants to make actual updates like new areas or new Jason skins. Like, they have to renegotiate the rights, and they're not going to.
Oh, that sucks.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I guess play Dead by Daylight then.
Dead by Daylight was a good game.
It is a good game. I say that I've only I have owned Dead by Daylight for like, oh God, since it came out pretty much. Somebody told me to get it so that I could play with them. Didn't tell me that they had it on PlayStation. I bought it on computer. So the extent of my actual playing Dead by Daylight on my own computer is me opening it and then closing it and then never touching it again.
It's fun with the right people. I had some friends that actually, one guy was on the show a long time ago, Rich, where we played a little bit of it here and there.
Yeah.
Let's
We
just
need
make it-
that crossplay, Sony.
Yeah, that's not happening. I can tell you that right now. Okay, I have a couple more I want to read before we wrap this part up. From Matthew Ladwig, I feel like this game gets a bad rap. It's not great, but it's definitely playable, and the mechanics with the kids and other counselors getting attacked and needing to be rescued were interesting, albeit a bit flawed in their implementation, or however you say that word.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Right
Yeah.
there with you, guy.
Yep. High
Yeah.
five.
Mhm.
Okay, I got a couple of
Slap your
real
computer
questions.
right now.
First, I got to read this from Michael Hughes, the guy that was on the show last week. Approximately how long do you think it would take you to legitimately beat this game without cheats, or is it even possible? And I said, and at first, my first file was like, you think I would cheat, Mike? And his
Yes.
reply was, gasp, never.
Huh.
Took me about an hour.
Yep.
If you know what you're doing, it's doable. It's not, I mean, I fuck this game. But if you know what you're doing, it's not.
It's just, like just stumbling over something. Yeah, fuck it.
I, like,
Oh, we
this one
haven't,
from Steve.
I really thought we'd mentioned Kevin Bacon by now in the show.
He's in the first movie, and then he
Yeah.
gets an arrow through the neck. Not an arrow
Yeah.
to the knee, an arrow to the neck.
We mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street. Didn't even mention Johnny Depp. Mentioned Friday the 13th. Didn't even mention Kevin Bacon. I think this is the first time I've heard the first movie mentioned without Kevin Bacon coming up immediately.
Yeah, really.
He's a
We
very
mentioned
young
Tom
Kevin Bacon.
Savini before we mentioned Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Bacon. He chased worms in the desert. I don't like those movies, by the way. Someone
You
else
don't like
mentioned that to me.
Tremors? I am angry. Tremors is like, oh god, Tremors is like one.
I haven't seen it in years.
Watch it again, Mike.
Gee, I think that's
perfect movie, Mike.
A new thing we're going to do on the show at some point. Movies Mike hasn't seen in over 10 years, and people are like, this is great. And I'm like,
I watch Tremors at least once a year. I think that's one of the best like modern horror movies ever made.
Yes.
That's a scandalous hot take, Mike. Yeah, it's pretty glorious. I actually haven't seen it in a while too. All I want to do now is watch Tremors. That's all. That's my next goal in life. Yeah, literally, I might have to do that.
Just make sure you send me the episode first.
I'll even watch the second one.
I haven't seen it in a long time, so I could be wrong. I just remember I haven't seen it since when I was still in high school, so 2003 or so, and I remember thinking it was okay.
Oh, that movie's so good.
Great.
It's just like a remake of Jaws, but in the best way.
Yep.
There's so many things that Tremors does right that's just so good.
Another thing I want to read from Michael Hughes again. Do you think that if Jason wasn't hit by the car in the prologue, Ethan and his wife would have stayed together, and would Sean still have been targeted by the origami killer? Press X to Jason.
Oh God.
Oh wow. I have to parse that out in threes. I gotta wow. Okay.
For those listening, they're like, what the fuck? It's a Heavy Rain joke.
Yeah, It's a Heavy Rain.
It's a reference.
Heavy Rain. If you finally found Jason and it was just Jason Voorhees, that'd be amazing.
Heavy Rain is a strange game.
It's just child Jason. He's flopping around in the water somewhere.
Okay. I think I have two more I want to read because these are actually good questions. From Breaking Floyd, which Jason was your favorite? I can't answer this, but maybe one of you two can.
Oh man. It's a hard question, honestly.
Yeah, because it's like, do you go on kills, performance, outfit, aesthetic,
or do they mean like Kane Hodder versus who's the other guy who did it? Sean.
Everyone else.
Everyone else. Yeah. I mean Kane Hodder, honestly. CJ Graham, I think, was the other guy. It was like the big Jason.
Yeah, and Ted White from Final Chapter. Yeah.
I think. Oh man. I think Final Chapter is my favorite Jason because you get to see Jason. You get to see like three different Jasons in that movie. Essentially, you get to see Jason with his mask fucked up, where like part of his face is coming through, and then you get to see him without the mask, and it's like you get the full Jason in Final Chapter. And I mean, it's Tom Savini coming back after the first movie, and he just does a great job. Jason's just so creepy looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with part 6.
Okay.
That's where we finally get zombie Jason, where he comes back from the grave, like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Frankenstein didn't come from the grave.
As much as I love Jason X is like such a stupid looking Jason.
Yeah, Uber Jason.
Uber Jason, yeah.
That movie, I don't remember it well, but I remember laughing at it.
It's such a dumb outfit where he's got like, it's nanomachines. It's literally nanomachines.
Fox die.
All right. Last question.
It does look like a
then we're done with this part. From Brent Johnson, do you think Jason would have left the campers alone if they weren't also just so damn horny all the time?
No. Probably.
No. It's like his area. As long as you stay out of Crystal Lake, he will never kill anyone.
Unless they have the Book of the Dead from Evil Dead in the comic.
Or Naked Freddy.
All right.
And it's like the Illuminati's going in there to get the Necronomicon. That makes sense. I would actually watch that. That'd be awesome. If they showed what's that group? What's the group from the Evil Dead TV show? Oh man, there's like a group in the show that is working like on the side of good in the background. It's like trying to help like keep Ash alive because he's the chosen one. I can't remember the name of the group, but I would watch a movie or show where it's like them trying to get into Camp Crystal Lake to steal the Necronomicon from Jason. That'd be awesome. That should have been an episode of the show, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready to go to Shelf or Box?
I think so. Knights of Samaria. That's what they're called.
All right. Stefan, since this is your pick, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually going to talk real quickly about my first encounter actually ever seeing Jason. It's like it's like the shortest memory in my mind. I was bugging my dad. Yeah, we were out camping and we heard screams. People were naked running. No. We were at home and he was watching Star Trek and he was flipping back and forth between channels. And I think I was like 4 or 5 years old. I said, "Dad, this is boring. Star Trek sucks." Which, of course, later I regret saying that.
Yeah,
but
that's very wrong.
He switched it over to Friday the 13th, and immediately it's just Jason like axing a girl in the face, and he's like, "Do you want to watch this instead?" And I'm like, Star Trek."
That's funny.
So it's been a part of this franchise has been a part of my life like forever, for 32 years. And I love Friday the 13th. I'm a whore for it. I got the merchandise. I got the video games. I got the damn comic books. Yeah, horror.
Horror. It's hard to say. I'm a horror.
But yeah, I was genuinely surprised by this game, and part of the reason why I picked it is because, but a little behind the scenes, I asked Mike and Stu, I said, "Are you guys ever going to pick anything like NES?" And they're like, "No." I was like, "All right, well, I'm going to be the guy." So it's kind of nice too, because it's a shorter game. It makes our week easier. It's a nice little breather. But yeah, I was genuinely surprised by the game. It's legitimately fun, and it kind of does make sense in its own weird, wacky parody way. So yeah, it's going on my shelf.
Okay. Well, hey, Bill, how about you?
So remind me, you can cut this if you want. Shelf or box? I don't remember the bit.
It won't get cut, but
shelf is if you like the audience every now and again too.
Yeah, we should. If you like it, something that you're going to play again, something you're going to talk about, something that you want to be like, "Hey, this is a good game." Go through your shelf. Box, you don't want to talk about it. Okay. You played it. It's done.
Yeah, if it's a game that you choose to identify yourself with in some way.
Huh. I don't know if I choose to identify myself with it. Again, I think from a historical standpoint, as I mentioned before, when I was growing up, I was a lily-livered sissy boy, right? I did not like horror. I didn't like scary stuff at all. Still kind of that now. But as far as a game goes, for experiencing it for the first time, I think I would actually shelf this a little bit. I'd shelf like my emulated version, not a box. I wouldn't put that up there, but I'll keep my little ROM file on my computer. Why not? I just think it's very interesting, and I think there's a lot here that you can dig into if you're willing to put in the time. I just wish that, again, somebody else gave 3 more months of this, spent 3 more months on the creation, balance it a little better, reduce the penalty tax, the tax for failure, and make it just a little more approachable. And I think this would be like a little gem. But I really enjoyed it with all the failures I had. I really did enjoy my time with it to a certain extent. So yeah, I'm gonna shelf this one. Why not?
Okay, I was not expecting that. Well, that's cool. Oh, Stu, how about you?
Like how you said you wouldn't put the box on your shelf. I'm actually looking at a poster of the box art right now. About to buy. Because the box art is great. First of all, it's so like late 80s, early 90s. It's got like the rainbow coloring in there for some reason.
And Jason's holding an axe. Yeah.
It's a still from, I think, Jason 3. Jason 3. I think it's a still from Friday the 13th, the third movie, I want to say. It says, "Destroy Jason if you can."
That's from part 7.
It can't be from part 7 because part 7 came out after the game, didn't it? No, it didn't. Came out a year before the game, so that makes sense. A New Blood. But yeah, yep. I'm gonna put this game on my shelf for sure. Going into it, again, I thought I was gonna hate it. All I've heard about this game is that it's like a broken mess. It doesn't work. And going into it, I was like, I think this game might have been reviewed wrongly when it first came out. I think this game got like an unfair treatment. Yeah. I mean, probably because like there were a lot of toy games coming out at the time. Like a lot of toy companies were just releasing famously E.T. was just like one of the worst games ever made, one of the most broken messes. So like when you compare it like to that era, it makes sense that people would just say, "Oh, this game sucks," because it's a toy game. But I think, going back to it, it's got some interesting mechanics in it. It's the fact that you're just trying to kill Jason before he can kill all the kids. So there's like that timed element, and you're exploring Camp Crystal Lake and trying to you're finding like little iconic things from the movie. Like I said, the box art's fantastic. Jason looks great in the game. He's got that blue tint that just looks so cool. And God, the box art's so good. I'm definitely buying this poster. Like we made fun of the fact that there's only 2 musical tracks in the game, but they're both pretty fun tracks. They're both pretty like schlocky horror tracks on the NES.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Yeah. So like, this game was a huge surprise for me. I really found myself enjoying it, and I don't know if I'm going to go back to play it again anytime soon. But like I said, it took me about an hour to beat the first time. I could see myself going back and playing it again. I could see myself while there's a Friday the 13th marathon on TV, being like, maybe I should play the game while I watch this.
Yeah, you
so definitely going on my shelf. I had a lot more fun with this than I thought I was going to. Plus, I'm a huge horror like Stefan. So.
horror.
Sounds like a Harry Potter villain. The horror wars are here.
Cast a spell.
Expelliarmus. That's all I know.
All right,
learn something different, Harry. Jesus Christ.
I think it's obvious where this is going for me. Just going in the box. Not that, and I will say this is. I also agree this is not a bad game. It's just a misunderstood game because they took the instructions and threw them out the window and they said, "Here you go, have fun," and it doesn't explain anything to you. And that, to me, that hurts the game a lot. But it's not anywhere you call it bad game. Like I will never play it again. I didn't like it. I had to use cheats to even get anywhere in it, but that's partly because I am not an NES gamer. You can give me Super Mario World and I'm going to struggle. I am not good at old games at all. I'm an RPG guy, but we don't really do RPGs on the show. Yeah, but I can level, I can play, and I can go for a while, and that's why I like them. But no, this is not a game for me. It is misunderstood, as we said. It really is, because it doesn't explain to you. There's so many different things to this game, and it is kind of a cool game. Once you watch videos on it and you listen to what people have to say and you really understand what you're doing, it has some cool elements. But not for me.
Would you say this is like the hardest survival horror game you've played, Mike?
Well, I use cheats, so it wasn't hard for me, but I don't think so. It's more just I didn't understand it. So also, when you give me the ability to cheat, it's different. And I had the ability to save states. It's hard to say. I can't legitimately say. I mean, the reason it was hard is because I had to hold down and press left to dodge to do a boxing match with a mass murderer. I mean, that's a little different than actually being a hard survival horror game where I have to actually think about it and judge my ammo and things of that nature. And I didn't hate this game much as I hated Fallout. So, you know what?
There you go.
There you go.
I fucking hated Fallout 1. Hated that game.
Still surprised by that, genuinely.
All right, I think
go back and play Fallout 1 at some point.
Someday.
Make us play it again for the show. Oh, I guess we still have to play Fallout 2 as well.
Yeah, Fallout 2 someday we can do. But okay, I think that wraps up our shelf for box. I think I'm going to introduce what we're going to play next week. Next week, we are going to dig into a Japanese-only game. We're playing Clock Tower for Super Nintendo. So,
very nice.
That's a thing.
Yeah,
it is.
We get chased. Instead of getting chased by a guy that's going to punch us, we get chased by a guy with a little guy with a big pair of scissors. Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Interested what you guys come away with.
I'm not sure how I feel yet about it. I kind of picked it. I mean, it's one of those things we kind of just agreed on, but yeah. So that should be fun. All right. If you guys get a chance, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where I post images of the different screens of the upcoming game that we're going to be playing. I also want to give another shout out to that podcast I mentioned earlier called Movement Radio. There will be a link in the show notes. They talk about wrestling and other pop culture things. Also want to thank Bulby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney, for his song Cool Kid Squad from his EP Bite the Bullet. That is our awesome intro and outro. I think I've said that thing more times than I thought you could in different words. The same words. All right. Anything? Bill, do you have anything you want to plug before we wrap up?
No, just my main video gaming thing is if you go to thewellreadmage.com, I contribute the occasional article there, of course, retro gaming, under the handle The Thunder Mage. And I also write for a blog called The Austinaut, austinot.com, hyperlocal Austin culture blog, things to eat, see, do, drink in town. So if you live in Austin, Texas, that's the place to go to find out the hot thing to do and the cool thing to do.
There are people who do download her.
Yeah, man. And on Twitter, I'm Bill Tucker TSP. So Bill Tucker Teaspoon. And that's pretty much it.
Cool.
I have
every time
Twitter handle.
Every time somebody says Austin, Texas, it always reminds me of Tom Green when he says Boston, Texas.
Oh God, yeah.
Austin, Massachusetts.
I was just fucking thinking about that the other day too. Is what I said. I was just thinking about that because we were figuring out our fucking tickets, and I was like, "Yeah, we're going to Boston, Texas."
That's funny. I'm from the East Coast, so I could have done Austin, Texas, but yeah, that's been stripped from me.
So she said he said Boston. No, I said Austin. You said Boston. Yeah,
no.
Boston, Texas.
All right, everyone have a wonderful night, and we will see you next week or sooner.
You know what? I'm gonna go watch Tremors.
Let's do it.
All right, bye everybody.